In a facility called the Vertical Self-Management Center, an unusual prison operates with 333 floors, each featuring a hole in the center. A platform carrying food is lowered floor by floor, giving prisoners 2 minutes to eat as much as they can before the platform moves on. The higher the floor, the better the chances of eating. Those on lower levels are often left with nothing. Hoarding food for later results in strict punishment by the administration. At the end of each month, the prisoners are randomly reassigned to different floors. Each prisoner is also permitted to bring one item of their choice into the facility. Hidden within the prison is a strange area where children play on a pyramid. Before being assigned to cells, prisoners are interviewed and asked about their favorite dish, which is then added to the selection on the platform. Zattin requests pizza, explaining that he becomes anxious without it, referencing a time when he nearly burned his parents' house down, but later extinguished the fire himself out of regret. Meanwhile, Peruan shares her preference for ham croquettes made by her ex, mentioning she joined the prison to escape guilt over something she did. Both Zattin and Peruan are assigned to level 24. When Zattin checks the platform for his pizza, he is distraught to find it partially eaten, with toppings stolen. Above them on level 21, arguments erupt over stolen food. Enraged, Zattin grabs a piece of chicken to eat in retaliation, but Robespierre and his cellmate from level 23 intervene. Robespierre reveals a group of prisoners, called the loyalists, who follow self-imposed rules. Prisoners eat only the dish they selected during the interview, or trade voluntarily to ensure fair distribution. Those who disregard this system are labeled barbarians. Robespierre warns that breaking these rules will lead to chaos, and leave the lower levels starving. Despite Zattin's anger, Peruan stops him from eating out of spite by sharing her croquettes. The next day, prisoners from level 21 rebel against the loyalists' rules. As tensions escalate, Robespierre warns they may need to fight to protect their food. Peruan, anticipating violence, dismantles her bed to fashion a weapon. By the time the platform arrives, there is already a corpse on it, and a fight erupts between Robespierre, a prisoner from level 21, and others. A woman above kicks off any food that falls near her, trying to avoid punishment, but her level overheats, causing her to catch fire and fall onto the platform. Peruan uses bedsheets to extinguish the flames, but the woman has already passed away. Amid the chaos, Robespierre and the man from level 21 continue to fight, while Peruan is quickly overpowered. The platform begins descending, prompting Robespierre and Peruan to throw all remaining food into the pit to avoid freezing to oblivion as the temperature plummets. Once the platform is gone, Robespierre is devastated over the demise of the burned woman and lashes out, but Peruan intervenes to restore order. They tie up the unconscious man from level 21, and Robespierre announces his intention to take the woman's body to the lower levels in search of the anointed ones. Robespierre explains the legend of the Master, or Messiah, a man who created the rules for fair distribution. It's said that he survived an entire month on a low floor by meditating without eating. When he awoke on the lowest level, where no food can arrive, he resorted to cannibalism, feeding others with his own flesh. Those who consumed the master's body became the anointed ones, spreading his message of solidarity and sacrifice. Zattin dismisses Robespierre's story as nonsense, shouting about his hunger after 2 days without food. As the lights go out, Robespierre ignores the outburst and throws the burned woman's body into the pit. The following day, the platform arrives with the pizza Zattin had been craving, and he finally eats. Robespierre calmly eats his dish as well, but disposes of food left by lifeless prisoners in the toilet. He explains that arbitrarily distributing leftovers benefits only a few and risks inciting violence and chaos. Before leaving with the prisoner tied up from level 21, Robespierre designates specific dishes for Zattin and Peruan to guard. Days pass as Zattin and Peruan eat their chosen meals, discarding leftovers to avoid trouble. However, Zattin occasionally sneaks bites in secret. The two grow closer over time, supporting each other through simple acts like grooming and sharing food. Peruan distracts herself by scratching doodles into the wall with a razor, and one day invites Zattin to contribute. He declines, explaining that he has always been more drawn to science. Instead, he writes a mathematical equation on the wall, a problem that once led him to abandon his life's work. Zattin shares that the equation's solution, an imaginary number, shattered his trust in mathematics. Unable to reconcile this, he left his university job, research, and family to move back with his parents. During the evening, the pair hears the news that food reached level 175, an unprecedented event. Celebratory cheers echo throughout the prison. Peruan persuades Zattin to dance with her, and after some hesitation, he agrees, momentarily forgetting their grim reality. The joy is short-lived. The next morning, Zattin and Peruan wake up on level 180, far below where food ever reaches. For days they endure severe hunger. Zattin, who brought a lighter as his personal item, begins burning his clothes for distraction and, later, sets his skin alight, forcing Peruan to intervene. Zattin eventually vomits blood, revealing an underlying illness. At the same time, a severed head falls through the pit, accompanied by voices from above announcing that anointed ones are hunting barbarians. The duo hears screams from below as more bodies fall, evidence of ongoing battles. The anointed ones share a list of barbarians they plan to execute, including a fat man from 24 who had stolen food from the deceased, clearly referring to Zattin. Fearing for his safety, Peruan lies, claiming they used to reside on level 74. That night, Zattin reflects on his interview. He had tried to portray himself as dangerous, but the interviewer exposed the truth. Zattin had dropped out of school at 16, failed at every venture he tried, been disowned by his wife and kids, and was even rejected by his parents. They had sent him to the facility in hopes it would instill discipline. Realizing he has nothing left to live for and unwilling to see Peruan suffer for protecting him, Zattin makes a fateful decision. Using his lighter, he ends his life, allowing his body to fall into the pit. Peruan watches in despair, tears streaming down her face. Below, prisoners try to grab his body for meat, but the flames burn too fiercely, forcing them to let go. At the bottom of the pit, the cannibals wait for Zattin's body to cool before devouring it. When the new month begins, Peruan wakes up on level 51, sharing the cell with Natalia, a woman who brought a pillow as her object and chose plums as her food. Natalia, who is missing an arm, finds her plums gone when the platform arrives. Peruan persuades her to follow the loyalist rules despite her frustration. That night, Peruan hallucinates Zattin in the cell with her, his presence haunting her thoughts. Sometime later, a severed head falls through the pit, and the women learn that Dagin Babi, an anointed one, is hunting and punishing barbarians across the facility. While the rules dictate that only prisoners directly above a barbarian's level are allowed to descend and enact punishment, Natalia impulsively jumps onto the platform the next time it arrives, determined to join the fight. Driven by her own desire to avenge Zattin, Peruan follows. As the platform descends, prisoners from other levels join their cause, uniting in a swelling group against the barbarians. They eventually reach the level of a notorious barbarian named Oscar. When the platform arrives, Oscar attacks first, plunging the knife into one of the group members. A brutal brawl ensues, leaving everyone bloodied and battered. When it seems like Oscar is subdued, he pretends to surrender but leaps onto the platform as it begins to leave. Enraged, Natalia pursues him and begins to pummel him, but Oscar retaliates, pulling her down and preparing to attack her. Before Oscar can strike, the platform stops at the next level, allowing Peruan to intervene. She rescues Natalia, but another prisoner lunges at Oscar, attempting to choke him. The attacker is badly hurt in the struggle, leaving Peruan to continue the fight. She beats Oscar until he breaks down, crying. Pleading for mercy, he reveals he's been in the facility for over a year and only fought to survive. Desperate and starving, he insists that all he wants is to live, just like everyone else. Moved by his desperation, Peruan lets Oscar flee on the platform, blocking Natalia when she tries to pursue him. That night, Natalia opens up about her time in the facility. She explains she has been imprisoned for 6 months and that when she first arrived, her cellmate taught her the rules. While Natalia didn't think the rules were fair, she followed them anyway. However, everything changed when they discovered an almost lifeless young man. They broke the rules to give him food from a lifeless prisoner, hoping to save his life. The next day, Dagin Babi appeared to enforce punishment. She cut off Natalia's arm and strapped her cellmate to the underside of the platform, sending her into the pit to be consumed by the cannibals. That moment shattered Natalia's illusions. She realized the facility isn't about rehabilitation or survival. It's a trap no one escapes. The only path to freedom, Natalia believes, is during the monthly relocation, when prisoners are gassed and their unconscious bodies are moved. If they can fake their slaughter, Natalia theorizes, the administration will throw their bodies out of the facility. Natalia shares her plan. She wants to ingest an oil painting another prisoner brought as their object. She believes consuming it will simulate demise during the relocation, but she doesn't know which level the painting is on. Together, she and Peruan begin to plot their escape. A few days later, they discover a man tied beneath the platform, signaling that Dagin Babi and his group are closing in. Natalia persuades Peruan to descend to avoid them. Unfortunately, the platform halts, bringing Dagin Babi and his followers. At first, Dagin feigns generosity, offering food, but once the platform moves on, he orders his people to capture Natalia, Peruan, and others who had fought him before. He delivers a lengthy speech on obeying the law without exceptions, claiming that bending the rules invites disloyalty. To emphasize his point, he reveals he's missing his eyes. The group strips Natalia and ties her to the underside of the platform to be sent to the cannibals. Meanwhile, they pin down Peruan and extend her arm over the pit, allowing the platform to sever it as it descends. Elsewhere, in a mysterious room, children play and appear to multiply. The next month, Peruan awakens on level 72 with a new cellmate, Trimagasi, who owns a knife. Trimagasi's presence reveals that this story predates the events of the first film. When the platform arrives, Trimagasi eats without regard for the rules. Disillusioned with justice, Perempuan jumps onto the platform, urging Trimagasi to join her. Together, they recruit more barbarians, including Oscar, as they descend. Their numbers grow so significantly that the platform becomes crowded. Eventually, Perempuan announces the group is large enough, and they step off the platform, discovering the infamous painting in that cell. Her true objective all along, gathering allies, was merely a strategy for protection. The next day, Daganbabi ensures the platform is empty as it nears its level. He plans to attack once they're weak, but offers mercy if they surrender. A heated debate among the barbarians leads some to abandon the group and head further down. Trimagasi interrupts with a bold idea: descend and devour any loyalists they encounter. The group enthusiastically agrees, celebrating as Perempuan reflects on her past. During an interview, Perempuan revealed she was once a prominent artist, and the painting Natalia sought had been her object. She'd accidentally taken out her fiancé's child, leading to her imprisonment. Waking from her reverie, Perempuan realizes someone has fed her meat despite her refusal to eat human flesh. Hallucinating her fallen friends, she reluctantly starts eating to regain strength. Later, as the platform arrives, Perempuan hides the painting in her pants. Oscar notices. When the platform descends with mattresses concealing Daganbabi's loyalists, a brutal battle ensues. Both sides fight mercilessly, spilling blood until it becomes nearly impossible to discern allies from enemies. In the chaos, Trimagasi accidentally hurts a woman he admires. Distraught, he retreats beneath a bed. Oscar attacks Perempuan, choking her until Trimagasi passes her his knife. She attacks Oscar, who passes away questioning the painting's significance. Perempuan and Trimagasi hide as the fight rages, leaving only the two of them alive. When the platform descends, bodies cascade into the pit. Perempuan finds Daganbabi barely alive, but leaves him to suffer before disposing of the remaining bodies. She asks Trimagasi to join her in leaving, but he declines, saying it's been the best month of his life. Perempuan eats her painting, collapses with foam at her mouth, and passes out just before gas fills the cell. Meanwhile, in the mysterious room, a pile of children struggles to climb out, and a boy finally reaches the top. At that moment, a beam of light shines on the boy, and two administrators arrive to take him away. When Perempuan wakes, she is tied to a pile of lifeless bodies being moved by facility workers. Natalia's plan worked, but with a twist. As Perempuan is transported through the pit, she witnesses workers cleaning the cells and rearranging unconscious prisoners using low gravity. The pile is eventually dumped at the base of the pit, where Perempuan has a devastating realization. This isn't the exit, it's level 333. She wriggles free from the ropes and hides under a bed, watching as the workers bring in the chosen child and lay him on a separate bed. The pile of bodies is shoved into a hidden chute beneath the level. Guilt-stricken over her past, Perempuan resolves to redeem herself by saving this child. She attempts to leap to the other bed, but gravity causes her to stumble and hit her head. Despite her injuries, she picks up the child and tries to escape, only to collide with walls and surfaces due to erratic gravity. She eventually passes out. When she awakens, she's on the platform, with the child in the center, and a horde of cannibals surrounding them. A man offers her a knife, silently inviting her to feed the child. At that moment, Perempuan screams and wakes again. It was a dream. Now fully conscious, she sees it's just her and the child on level 333. Soon the platform begins descending to the very bottom of the pit, where darkness engulfs them. Cannibals appear, but they don't attack. Instead, they explain that Perempuan's journey is over, and only the children ascend again. The cannibals help Perempuan off the platform, and she watches as it begins to rise, carrying the child upwards. Time passes, and more prisoners arrive at the pit's bottom on the platform, each carrying a child. It becomes clear the facility maintains these children to manipulate prisoners, giving them false hope or preventing attempts at rebellion. Among these moments is the ending of the first movie, showing Goreng reaching the bottom with a girl while hallucinating Trimagasi. Goreng steps off the platform, allowing the girl to ascend. At this moment, Perempuan sees Goreng and embraces him, revealing he was her fiancé all along.